Sounds good. Hello, Weekend Warriors. Welcome to another Weekend Dojo stream. Tonight we will be talking about uh, SpongeBob SquarePants, Stephen Hillenburg, the creator of SpongeBob SquarePants, and all his contributions to animation. And as usual, I am joined with Elch's Reviews.
Yep, and welcome back, Weekend Warriors. Thank you for joining us. We are so glad to have you. And all I can say is that I hope that you enjoyed.
Hold on, I'm letting them know I'm live now. All right, cool. Okay, so if you guys heard the news, Stephen Hillenburg, creator of SpongeBob SquarePants, died of ALS earlier this week, and so we'll be going through his contributions to Nickelodeon. I'm gonna pull up a list just so I don't get my facts wrong and such, because a lot of his content I used to watch, I have a vague memory of.
Now, as I understand it, just going in, SpongeBob originally was not meant for child audiences.
No, it wasn't. Stephen Hillenburg Creations. All right, let's see here. I'm pulling up his list of animations so we can go off in order. Okay, so seems his first animation work started in 1992. It was called The Green Bert and Wormholes. While he was working at Cal Arts. If you're familiar with Cal Arts, it's an institute.
Not familiar with it.
Yeah. While at Cal Arts is some sort of a art college / institute. Oh, so can you keep an eye on the chat?
That's what I'm doing.
Cool, thank you. Aside from that, he's also worked on Rocko's Modern Life. If you're familiar with Rocko's Modern Life,
everyone's familiar with Rocko's.
His first professional job in animation business was a director on Rocko's Modern Life, 1993 to 1996. Nickelodeon's first in-house cartoon production. He ended up finding work in the industry and got a job at Television Network after he met the show's creator, Joe Murray, at the 1992 Ottawa International Animation Festival. Aside from that, he didn't really do much with Nickelodeon other than Rocko's Modern Life. And while we're on Rocko's Modern Life, before we go into SpongeBob, the big one, you got anything to add?
Only that Rocko's was probably the beginning of what we were learning about this man's taste in humor. Just the weird, off-the-wall kind of stuff that was meant to just be non-stop craziness for about 30 minutes. And honestly, it is definitely come to be shown in modern animation. I think it's been taken to an excess lately, but you know what? If it weren't for him, cartoons wouldn't have evolved the way they have. And that's about it.
Yeah. So then I'll move on to SpongeBob now.
Well, I guess in order to start on SpongeBob, like I said before, as I understand, he was not intended for child audiences. And originally, the concept art of SpongeBob had him look more like your typical sea sponge, and ultimately had him look a bit like a potato. And the humor was going to be much more crude, and that's saying something for SpongeBob.
You can still see some of its jokes in there.
Absolutely. I mean, you couldn't turn them all the way off.
Do you remember that one episode?
Which one episode?
The Gary takes a bath.
Yeah. I think every kid back in the early 2000s owned that on a big orange VHS tape. If y'all don't know about the orange VHS tapes, you didn't
I had
really.
that. I've had some of those.
Yeah, it's just something that Nickelodeon produced, and if you didn't have one, you probably weren't a Nickelodeon kid in the early 2000s. So, and that's, I think, that was about the peak of the time to be into SpongeBob.
Now, while we're talking about that, let's talk about where he worked on it and how he shortly left the show and came back when the second movie came in, shall we?
Okay, go ahead.
Do you remember he's the one that really brought it to TV, and he worked on it for all the seasons. And if I'm correct, let's see, how many seasons did it run? Let's see, it started in 1999, and in 2004 is when the movie came out. So it had to have been like on its fourth season, or third or fourth season, assuming that they went by a year as far as seasons go, because some TV show seasons vary per size of the show and how long they're running for. If I remember the DVDs of the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, they had advertising for the SpongeBob second season DVD, so it had to have been on its third season when the movie was around. When I think he left after the third or fourth season. And I know he came back after right when the movie was being made, the Sponge Out of Water.
Sponge Out of Water.
That came out in 2014.
Oh yeah, I never saw that.
It was good. It was good. I highly recommend it if you like enjoy classic SpongeBob humor. That is the one you need to watch.
Okay,
It's close to as good as the first movie.
I suppose we talk about some of the stuff that he kind of established as staples in the SpongeBob series.
Yes. Would you like to start with that?
Well, the first and most obvious one that I can think of is the Krabby Patty and the Krusty Krab.
Mm-hmm.
More like it, you didn't often see, like, it wasn't every episode that SpongeBob was at work, but it was at least a good 30% of the episodes focused around SpongeBob's job at the Krusty Krab. And how you get someone to enjoy a fry cook job, I don't know. I think you have to be some special kind of shrunken in the head in order to.
Well, that's what SpongeBob was, am I right?
I guess so.
You remember, if you look at his backstory, his dream was always to be the best fry cook.
True.
And if I'm correct, though, the actual canon lure was his parents were going to the Krusty Krab one day when they were on their way home from something. He was a baby, and when he took his first bite out of a Krabby Patty is when his dream to be a fry cook happened.
So a couple things, I guess, about the Krusty Krab symbology. Now, we know it's run by Mr. Krabs, who is crabby and greedy. And we know
Let's talk about his character a little bit, because I always found his the most funniest, because I like it when TV shows make fun of greedy people for some weird reason.
It wasn't even just that he was 100% greedy. The fact that he was greedy just seemed to be his character archetype.
Mm-hmm.
He still seemed to be he seemed to be the father figure in SpongeBob's life.
Yeah.
And props to bosses that can do that.
Mm. It's weird because like Mr. Krabs has this thing where he'll go from being a good, genuine boss / father figure and nice guy to a straight up stingy runt.
You can have multi-purpose characters like that.
I liked that though. That's what I'm saying. I props for that.
Couple
like,
of the others.
They weren't just 2D stereotypes.
Another thing is that the Krusty Krab is in fact a lobster trap.
I noticed that recently. I didn't notice that until like maybe a month ago.
Yeah, they go in, but they never leave. Oh, you know what? It's my buddy Kuro. Hey, dude, he always looked up to Mr. Krabs, even when others called him greedy and a cheapskate. Except for the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, you are absolutely correct.
Mhm.
Also, dude, we gotta
I
hang
am
out.
100% a man. And this
I am
man.
100% man. Yes, and that is absolutely right. He did always look up to Mr. Krabs.
Yeah.
There were some times when he doubted him, and
Mhm.
times when he really should have listened. There was even a time when Mr. Krabs genuinely had a good lesson about being safe.
The
And it
hooks. The
the
hooks.
um,
Is that what you're referring to?
yeah,
Okay.
and so I think the fact that the Krusty Krab was a lobster trap is symbology in and of itself.
Mhm. My favorite episode is to this day is still Sailor Mouth.
Sailor Mouth is a big one. Yeah. Uh, let's talk about one other thing that he established in two other things that he established regularly as in the series, real quick. Uh, another more common thing that he established was jellyfishing. We're gonna go one
Yes.
common one and one less one that didn't come up as often. Uh, and jellyfishing, while it didn't get used so much towards the end, was generally the area where we got to see just SpongeBob and Patrick be SpongeBob and Patrick uninterrupted most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a unique plot device, I think, just for him, just isolating his two funniest characters so that they can just play off each other without outside contaminants,
Mm-hmm.
with just things that can very seriously hurt them. I mean, what episode of Jellyfish where they were jellyfishing didn't go by without them getting stung at least once?
None.
Exactly. And it became the source of a lot of like the tropes in the show. They were the common like bird or pigeon flying by or like a little fly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the jellyfishing net design was used for multiple things throughout the course of the show.
Mm-hmm. What about, let's cover some of the short episodes that they would put in there as a side gag. Like, you remember the one episode that had no dialogue and it was SpongeBob messing with a reef blower? The reef blower?
Yes, yes, I remember that. And I think that episode was really genius because it's a new.
What is it?
It's just Kudo saying, "Yeah, yeah, we're gonna hang soon." Kudo is a buddy of mine. He's working on some of his own stuff, on and off. Uh,
Okay.
cool guy.
I'll sub.
Awesome. Now let's see what else is there. Oh yeah, the less common one, boating school.
Yes.
Now, this was a trope that got brought up, I think, out of all the things that he created for this show, all of the scenarios, boating school was the one that came up the least often.
Yeah, but it was still iconic.
Yes, yes, it was. And we remember it so well, probably because that's where SpongeBob got a foil that more easily got upset than Squidward.
Mm-hmm.
We got to see Mrs. Puff's reaction to just dealing with a student that doesn't get it and a student who's very earnestly doesn't understand that he's not getting it.
Mm-hmm. I wonder. This is something. I don't know if anyone else has headcanon in this or actually took the time to really dig and think about it. But based on how SpongeBob learns and how he acts, one could easily conclude he has some form of autism or on the spectrum in some way, shape, or form.
That is entirely possible. Although, and he does seem to take he does seem to see Patrick, who is clearly less intelligent than him, as probably a figure whose advice is worth taking, simply because he just trusts him that much.
Yeah.
Let's
Remember
also
the
talk
Suds episode?
the what?
The Suds episode?
Ah, yes, the Suds.
Dr.
He
Patrick?
totally trusted Patrick to cure his cold.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Yeah, there was definitely a lot of that. And let's face it, Patrick literally lived under a rock. He had no clue what was going on in the world. Patrick, I think, was a great counterpoint to play opposite SpongeBob. Not a counterpoint so much as someone to play off of. Another stooge, if you would.
My favorite Patrick moment is when he thought he was a superhero called Patrick Man. He had the broken ice cream cone on his forehead, and his underwear on the outside.
And Kuro says it's been said Patrick may actually be really smart, but doesn't show that. But there's always theories regarding characters, and that may be true. Although we have established that Patrick did gain a boost of intelligence when brain coral attached to his head.
I remember
so I don't think there's really any canon to the show.
Right.
I think whatever it is,
slice of life. That's what it is.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, let's face it. We all became Squidward.
Yeah, sadly.
Because Squidward was really the most mature one in the show, no matter how you slice it. It was him and Mr. Krabs who showed the most negative aspects that are depicted as being the adults. As well as, like, that's the thing. Miss Puff constantly dealing with anxiety from trying to get one student to pass her class. Squidward constantly depressed and irritated because he goes to a job he hates every day, has neighbors that he does not enjoy, and never gets a moment of peace to himself to play his goddamn instrument. And then we've got Mr. Krabs, the most happy of the adults, is also the most greedy. Because he finds fulfillment in the material. Sandy, you could argue, is the only positive adult that regularly appears on the show. And really, I guess that she is the only positive adult because she finds fulfillment in her work, not through material possessions, but through the act of study.
Yeah.
And all of her hobbies. She has a shit ton of hobbies.
Yeah. Now let's cover some of the lesser known characters within the show also. Let's focus on them. Like just side characters, reoccurring.
Oh yeah, like Old Man Jenkins.
Yeah. I want to start with Bubble Bass just because he has the most he has one of the most humorous appearances, give or take how few they are.
Okay.
Do you remember that really long order he placed in that one up in the very first episode he appeared in when he was conning them of pickles?
Oh, Bubble Bass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take a double triple bossy deluxe on a raft 4x4 animal style. Extra shingles with a shimmy, light axle grease. Make it cry,
burn it, and let it swim. Yeah, unfortunately, there are assholes like that who will never stop in their pursuit to spare themselves a buck.
Oh, it gets worse. He made a reappearance. He's now like a regular within the show as of currently. You see him every now and then throughout it, and he appears a whole lot more now. But there was one episode where you see he's doing another order at the Krusty Krab, except this time it's more stuck up food critic-y than the previous one. He starts using crazy words like Algura type of cheese, but not just any type. It has to be lightly shaved.
Yeah, some people think they're foodies and they're just the idiots who review burgers in their car.
But if you look at him, and compare him to like what way he talks, he really does satirize the overweight, snobby food critic.
Okay, we got Kuro saying there was an episode where SpongeBob goes to Bubble Town and sees Bubble Buddy. It was cool to see an old character like him make an appearance again. Bubble Buddy was another one of those lesser-known characters that makes appearances that you always love. Like in SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, the game, one of the first people you meet walking out your front door is Bubble Buddy.
I need to play that. I had it on the Game Boy Advance, but it was a completely different game than what it was on the GameCube.
You want to get it for like GameCube or PlayStation 2.
Okay, I will. I love playing Creature from the Krusty Krab. That was a freaking great game.
Yeah. That's another thing is games. SpongeBob probably inspired the biggest surge of merchandise production that ever came out of a cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
Probably even more than. No, I don't want to say more than Power Rangers. I'd have to look at the numbers, but I find it hard to believe he outsold Power Rangers.
I don't think so. But his video games are actually really enjoyable. They're not just dumb things thrown out for marketing. They actually are fun.
Some of them are.
Some of them are.
It, like I said, with an IP that big, you're gonna have duds. Okay, you're just gonna. None of it is gonna be 100% flawless.
Right.
Like I've got a SpongeBob plug and play game that's dull. But there's another, and it's just the one that looks like his house. But there's another one that looks like his face that has some genuinely good arcade clones on it.
Okay. Want me to review it? Mail it. I'll do it.
I don't have it. It was the one that I never got.
No, the crappy one.
Oh, the crap. Well, it's not crappy. It's just dull.
Oh, okay.
It was one of the first plug and plays I ever got.
That reminds me, I need to review one of my plug and plays that I have over there. I just need to pull it back out. I will get to that. Anyways, as far as other characters go, what Larry the Lobster?
Okay, he's another one of those. He really only ever shows up as a background character on Goo Lagoon or in a gym.
Mm-hmm.
Now, typically you see him at Goo Lagoon getting tan.
Goo Lagoon.
A stinky mud puddle to you and me, but to the citizens of Bikini Bottom, a wonderful stinky mud puddle.
Spot on.
Well, I was trained. So, what else can we... Oh, that's another one. Hans is a great one to reference. Hans, the great big hand.
Mm-hmm.
Who doesn't love Hans?
When does he usually appear? I know he appeared when in the soap commercial episode where SpongeBob got recruited to be in a soap commercial. Remember that?
Yeah, well, he showed up whenever we needed to reestablish how small these characters really were. Or just for when we needed to tip the scale over the edge to full-on ludicrous.
Mm-hmm. Or, didn't he also appear in the Suds episode, Hans, and then Hans cleaned him up?
Yes, he absolutely did. Mm-hmm. And we've got all kinds of fun episodes that we can, like, there's the one where they go camping.
Oh. Yes? Hold on. Yeah, I am.
You need to be ready to leave the house at 7 o'clock.
Okay. All right, good night. All right, I'm back.
So, moving forward. Kuro brings up Patchy the Pirate.
Yes.
Okay, yes, because also Patchy the Pirate got us all in the SpongeBob fan club.
Mm-hmm. Also played by Tom Kenny.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's face it. We were all members of the SpongeBob fan club because of Patchy, not because of SpongeBob.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, the camping scene where we saw the sea bear, that's one... You know what? We can probably learn that song right now. Let's see if we can figure it out. Just playing it by ear. Let me grab the...
Gather around the campfire and sing that campfire song.
Okay. Let's see if we can... That's a D. That's a D.
That's going to take me a while to learn.
Gather around and sing our campfire song. So that's an A minor. No. Let's. Oh, you know what? It's campfire strumming. You know what that means?
What?
That means there's a cheat. You know how we played G when we were learning If You Want Blood?
Yeah.
Lock your ring and your pinky finger there and don't move them. We're only going to use the other two to move around.
All right. Do it right here, and then.
So that means we can play a weird version of the D chord, a version of the E chord, the C chord, and the open G. Let's gather around the campfire and sing our campfire song.
I can't.
R-C-A-M-P-F-I-R-C.
I can't learn it immediately. I need to actually. I'm a slow player.
Yep. So that's gonna be tricky. We're gonna have to look up a tab for that, and I'm gonna have to remember that. But okay. Some of the SpongeBob music was probably some of the most memorable we could have.
I had the movie soundtrack, and
the movie soundtrack is good. The fun song is another staple. Like, I don't care how old you get. If you were a kid when you heard that song, you sing it every time I start with F is for friends who do stuff together. U is for you and me.
N is for anywhere, and you haven't all here in the deep blue sea.
F is for fire that burns down the whole town. U is for uranium bombs. N is for no survivors. Down in the...
I wish he had finished that. I'm actually curious what the ending lyrics are.
But yeah, the campfire song was a great one. The fun song was a great one. Goofy Goober.
Good night, love you.
Yeah, Goofy Goober's a good one.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's go through some. I'm not going to play them because of obvious reasons, but let's go through some of the songs that were used in the soundtrack that were in the credits but never was played in the movie itself.
Ocean Man is a great one.
Yes.
Ocean Man,
take me by the hand, lead me to the.
Kuro's saying, yeah, he had all the soundtracks on physical copies.
I did too.
It's what he listened to for most of his childhood. They created some really catchy tunes like "When Worlds Collide" in the BC. Oh, "When Worlds Collide."
What episode was that?
SpongeBob, Sponge BC or BC Sponge.
Oh, okay. That was the. Was it like do?
When Worlds Collide.
Oh, okay. There was like the techno beat that was played in Future Scene, right?
Yes. You know, it was the episode with Squog and Patar. Squog and Patar and SpongeGar.
All right, so here's the track listing from the movie soundtrack. We got SpongeBob SquarePants theme, the pirate version. Remember that?
Oh yeah, it sounded like a sea shanty.
Mm-hmm. And then they got SpongeBob and Patrick confront the SpongeBob and Patrick confront the psychic wall. That's by the Flaming Lips.
Yes. And actually, the Goofy Goober Rock was a spin-off of a parody of the Twisted Sister song "I Wanna Rock."
Mm-hmm. That is correct. And then there's Just a Kid by Wilco, Goofy Goober song, SpongeBob SquarePants, Prince Paul's Bubble Party. That was a remix of the Bubble Party episode.
Mm-hmm.
They'll Soon Discover. That's one of my favorites. And it's by the Monsters. It says here.
Okay, Monsters was a good band.
Yeah. Under My Rock by Patrick Starr.
Under My Rock. I can't remember that one.
Under My Rock.
Oh yeah.
And then there was You Better Swim from the Thug Tug.
Does anyone here remember the shoe tie-in song?
Yes.
For some reason, whenever I think of SpongeBob, eventually that song works its way into my head.
Loop and pull. Now your shoes are looking cool.
Now, I gotta say, that song was never any help to me learning.
Me neither.
Like, when I was a kid, I had already, by the time that came out, I already knew how to tie my shoes. I was like, what? I want to say I was like 7.
Mhm.
So I already knew how to tie my shoes.
This had to
But-
have been 2001, 2002, and that was
Oh,
like
if it were 2001, are you sure? Because I felt like it was closer to 2006.
no, that was an early season episode, like
Oh,
season 1 or 2.
If it was just like 2001, yeah, I may have
Here,
just learned to tie my shoes.
let me look it up. What episode of SpongeBob did he
Season
learn?
2. Okay, season 2. So when that came out, I had not seen it yet.
Oh, you got your answer?
Yep.
Oh, he said season 2?
Yeah, I did. I must have seen a rerun after I learned. Yeah, because I don't think. Yeah, I was not old enough to
The
be
episode
watching.
is Your Shoes Untied, Squid's Day Off. This was 2000. This came out November 2nd, 2000, and it was that was season 1. That had to have been season 1.
You sure?
Yeah. When did SpongeBob season 3 come out? Let's see here. Okay, season 3 came out in 2000. Right, list of SpongeBob season releases. Just so we don't get confused with the dates and such, I'm gonna pull up the SpongeBob seasons list. Let's see here. 1999 to 2000 was season 1. 2000 to 2001 was season 2. And then 2001 to 2004 was season 3. Dang. Dang.
Well, we got about 15 minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess what we can say is that the creator of SpongeBob was a comedic genius who probably towards the end got a little more tired and a little more worked than he should have.
Mm-hmm. Well, he died of ALS.
Yes, that's another thing too, and it's understandable he would have had to have stepped away from the show.
He did. Well, he stepped away after the movie.
Stepped away, and he stepped away and came back. And as I understand, his influence with the show was kind of in and out.
Mm-hmm.
And he influenced not just Nickelodeon, but cartoons as a whole, and we can see that because everyone nowadays is trying to capture that weirdness.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of it was that what made it work was more of a sense of humor than just going for something weird.
Right.
He took a common setting and gave it a motif that no one really had.
Right.
Or at least that no one really had done like he did.
Mm-hmm.
He gave us a show that I personally loved for a long time.
I still watch it.
I don't watch cable anymore, and I just don't find myself enjoying the modern episodes of SpongeBob as much as I did back early on when he worked on them.
Right. I get you.
But I appreciate that they are trying to carry the torch for him. I think though, when he passes on, it might be about time to wrap SpongeBob up.
Yeah, I have a theory that they're working on it now, and that the third movie is going to be the final. And they already have the movie in the works right now and being slated for 2020.
Oh, not only did he influence animation, but he touched the minds of people who barely knew what SpongeBob was, but still referenced the show in their daily life. That is also very true.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? It's like It's gonna be a sad day when SpongeBob ends. But here's the thing. Just because SpongeBob ends does not mean it's gone. Okay, they've got what? How many seasons of reruns that they can run as long as they want?
Mm-hmm. If you remember, when Nickelodeon ended all their shows that they made new ones of, like for the 90s, they ran nonstop until 2009 when they rebranded.
Yes, exactly. And
So if all those shows from like 19, if from late 1999 and earlier ran till 09, you can expect SpongeBob to be on TV for 10 plus years more still.
SpongeBob is not gone. The fan club still exists, and we are all goofy goobers.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess now that we've touched on that, we can go into sort of an open discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about what our plans for next week is. And hey, it's December. You know what that means for the rest of the month?
What does that mean?
Christmas episodes.
Oh yes, we need to talk about Christmas episodes.
Well, not just Christmas episodes, Christmas stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How we've all done. And if I may start, just because y'all know I'm the rock and roll toy nerd, a song that from an artist that I know Kenny you like that fits the holiday season perfectly. Run Rudolph Run by Chuck Berry.
Yes.
Now you've probably heard it then.
Run, run, Rudolph. Dun, 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 dun.
Out of all the reindeer, you know you're the mastermind. Run, run, Rudolph. Gonna have a real good time.
You want to tell our viewers a possible schedule ideas we have planned?
Okay, so I guess next week what we'll do is we will start with probably our favorite early Christmas time traditions, like what nerdy things we do around the holidays, what games or movies remind us of the holidays, and we will talk a little bit about some of the Christmas specials that we always tuned in to watch.
Yes. Now,
Um,
near the end of this month, I will be out of town a lot and with family, so we may need to schedule.
Yeah, the dojo will. What we'll do is probably we'll do a dojo Christmas hiatus. We'll do let's say let's look at the schedule here.
Well, you have me on Messenger, so we can stay in contact, work with that.
Absolutely. So the weekend of the 8th, we'll be talking about the Christmas specials we all tune in to see.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the weekend of the 15th, we will talk about, say, well, what else is there to be Christmas themed that we can comment on, I guess, except games?
Yeah. Releases. It is that season.
Yep, game releases, and I guess, some weird holiday, like, product traditions. We're talking like Coca-Cola and all those, kind of brands that spruce themselves up for Christmas.
We should do we should probably look into the copyright things of this so we make sure we're safe to do it. We should do a stream, whether it be the final weekend of December, where we react to the funniest Christmas ads for products.
I guess that'd be fun. The 22nd, I think, is the week we'll take the hiatus, and then the 29th is when we will recover and laugh at Christmas ads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'll do the research. I see other live streamers have done it, so I think if we just put in the description what the ads are we will be laughing at and what year they came out, we should be safe.
Sounds good to me. Now I guess the only thing left is to say thank you all so much for joining us. And a little bit of tidbit of rock and roll wisdom that applies not just here, but to the the creator of SpongeBob and every ant creator out there.
Buck the Man?
Actually, no, this is a little bit of something I came up with.
Okay.
If you're shooting for neon and all you get is chrome, you're gonna shine on just the same.
Mhm.
And that's good enough.
That should be on your gravestone.
That would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
A nice epitaph. So, thank you all so much for watching Weekend Warriors. We love that you've taken the time to tune into this show whenever we're on. We know we're not the most consistent.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate you. We appreciate you doing this for us, and we love doing this for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess with that, we'll wrap it up.
All right. Stay more phenomenal, everybody, or stay Autobotastic.
See you later, Weekend Warriors.